Hi everyone, we are the RRJM Marketing Group, and today we are going to present Chapter 8 titled Go to Market, Say Goodbye to Ready, Sell, Aim. I am Ruby, and the other presenters you will hear from today are Risa, Mario, and Jazmine. On today's agenda, we will be telling you what Ready, Sell, Aim is and why we should say goodbye, as the title states. Next, we will introduce the idea of Aim, Ready, Sell, which is meant to replace Ready, Sell, Aim. Then we will provide a 4-step guideline to managing the product launch, which includes narrowing your ideal customer profile, the importance of message testing, price for adoption, and securing early advocates. Finally, we will close with this week's activity for you. How you and your team plans to plan your go-to-market strategy will determine how your product launches risk of failure. The Ready, Sell, Aim approach is an effort to get to market quickly, which often results in failure. The first part of this strategy is the ready phase. The goal is to meet a minimum set of product capabilities before beginning to go to market. You have to make sure that your product is ready and functional before proceeding to the next phase. This approach is product-centric, which makes decisions rely on developmental milestones. And the next phase in the strategy is the sell phase. After releasing the product to the market, the goal is to use the sales team to get the product feedback with a list of the product's generalized assets derived from the value proposition. The sales team will help find the product's ideal customer profile through trial and error. And eventually you will reach the final part of the strategy, the aim phase. You will look at situations where the sales team was successful and create a strategy to attempt to replicate those initial successes. This is the direction the sales team will follow when making future sales and will determine the success or failure of product launch. So why do we need to do away with this Ready, Sell, Aim strategy? Risa will tell us in what ways it is flawed.
Thank you, Ruby. And I'm going over Ready, Sell, Aim flows. This approach detours the path to a successful product launch because initial research being insufficient and leaves the business unprepared for product launch. And the early successes of the sales team most likely result from a need to sell the product to customers without much direction. So early sales are not likely to be aligned with the actual target market. Next slide, please. And aim, ready, sell, reorientation of ready, sell, aim. Aim is instead of starting with a focus on the product, focus should be on a specific target customer to serve rather than a broad audience. Market research should be done around those customers and later testing the market research to see if it is sufficient or correct. Ready is there should be a focus on essential product requirement information and identify an ideal customer profile. Founders and product managers are the best salespeople before there is a proven market for the product. Product is not considered ready to scale into sales until reasonable steps have been taken to identify the ideal customer profile. Selling happens before this stage, but this is when the product is formally introduced to the sales team for a product launch. And next, Mario is going over how to guidelines.
Hi, managing a product launch. Narrow your ideal customer profile. There are critical steps when it comes to this, which will determine who you test messages against, who you train sales to target, and recruited to testing your offering. That will be prioritize product and service requirements. Convincing people the market is huge. You will likely spend weeks, even months convincing people the market is huge. So they would be able to invest in your idea. You're leading up to a big launch day. It's time to narrow the audience. Ask yourself the following questions. What industries are most likely to exhibit pain that solution solves? The size organization should I target? What geography can I support? What other attribute, signal, and readiness for my product? Next slide. To be brutal about message testing. Once the ideal customer profile has been determined, it is time to test the offer and value propositions. First one is product name. Don't expect to find a single product name as a clear winner, but you can identify product names that turn off your audience and should be avoided. 100-word product description. Recommending putting together 300-word product descriptions to compare. Compatibility statements. Compatibility statements should be bullets or should sentences describe what you offer. Does include from 6 to 8 statements with the goal of finding the top 3 most compelling persona. Benefit statements should be bullets or should short sentences that describe how you offer benefit users. 2 to 4 differentiators must be unique to you, easy to prove, and important to the buyer. And lastly, 1-minute elevator speech. Your elevator speech should be no more than 2 to 4 sentences in length and designed to be spoken, not to be read. Next slide. For price for adoption. Pricing has an impact on speed of market adoption and the long-term viability of the offering. Document the actual loss. When you document the actual loss, both the cost to serve and anticipate cost to sell. Next one will be consider what others are charging. Be sure to include not only direct competitors, but also the price of alternative approaches to solving and problem you address. And last one is different pricing models. Test different price models with your target buyers when it comes to the pricing. Customers can rarely provide an accurate assessment. And I will be passing it to Jazmine.
Thank you. I will be talking about the freemium models, which falls under the third principle of managing a product launch. Freemium models are when firms offer a free version of your product or service. Marketers usually have the idea that offering a free version will drive adoption, but there are certain aspects that they have to consider. Although in some cases, freemium models work, an important step is to convert premium customers into perhaps upgrading and commit into paying for a higher service or product. Dropbox is an example of a B2B service that's free and easy to use, but with limited storage for free. To upgrade for more storage, people or businesses can sign up for a paid plan. Additionally, Slack has a similar idea. Slack has a free version to generate leads and then can upgrade to a paid plan for additional features and functionalities. So it's important that the proper data is used to form a pricing strategy that will lead to profits. Next slide. And lastly, the fourth principle of managing a product launch is to secure early advocates. Internal advocates and third parties are important to validate your message. Third parties such as partners are for support and to give credibility. Then we have analysts who conduct research in your buying community. Industry influencers are important because they have a significant following, such as bloggers, spokespersons, etc. And lastly, early adopters should be considered for feedback and to be spokespersons for your valued propositions. These groups are here for support and to build a plan to reach your intended goal. Okay, next slide. And these are the 3 questions we have for this week's activity. Thank you. That is the end of our presentation. Thank you for your time.